Hello, Ectosage here on the Sage channel, and today I'm bringing you a nice little fighter drone of sort of. In fact, it's not even really a fighter drone as much as it is a miniature gunship. I've named it the Kip, just because it seems a bit, I don't know, fitting for such a tiny little thing. Now, I'm going to start off down over here with my original design for it, and I built this because when we recently did our bit of a team battle where we had one person on the small ship Gatling turrets that have recently been modded in, we were all going to build a ship and then we'd choose one. So I went ahead and built this version. Aaron built his from a conglomerate of different things. Tazu didn't listen and built a monster that I'm sure he'll show because it was actually pretty cool. But my version, I said, okay, the rules are 2 Gatling turrets, so we've got one on the top and one on the bottom. That should give you a good field of view all around the ship, as long as you don't aim down and shoot yourself. I also used only the top version of the turret, because there is a one version designed for top, one version designed for bottom, but the one on the bottom can't actually aim straight down, so it's not exactly ideal. So both of these are top version turrets. And then, of course, through the center point, I had the 2 large sniper rifles we had originally agreed on. And then, of course, I started building out from there. And you can see here, very quickly, I went ahead and added in engines and all that nonsense that you do need. I actually have 2 cockpits in there. There's one right behind the other. In this version, I just had a seat in there, and you see you could access it through here. And then I went up to, I believe this is the pretty much final version, where I had to replace that cockpit with a more proper actual, well, I say cockpit, with that chair with a proper cockpit, and added a way to access it right through here with this slanted metal aiming down at an angle, so you could drift up and, well, it was working the other day when I had originally built it, so you could get in through here, but apparently right now it doesn't feel like working anymore, so you'd have to go through here to get in it. The idea being that the pilot sits there, the gunner sits there. It's a small, pretty maneuverable ship. Over here we have a painted version of it, and this is like the final version here. And you see I had 2 large industrial thrusters at the back, and an assortment of 8 small ship small thrusters in every direction to give it pretty good maneuverability, except for, of course, in the front where I just have 2 normal large thrusters to stop it and a bunch of glowy blue lights, which I like quite a bit. If we were to hop inside this thing, I can take it for a bit of a spin. You can see it moves pretty damn quickly, so we can buzz out here, and you can see as we attempt to stop and start going another way, we get speed pretty quick. And then, of course, if we try to move sideways, you can see we can keep on moving sideways at a good speed. The ship is very maneuverable, and I thought it would be a good one, but Aaron's was a bigger, and it looked a bit better for a full-on shooting up. This one probably would have been pretty quick, but I felt it would still be pretty functional, which is why I'm still putting this video out. Let's go ahead and actually access, I think the back seat maybe has the buttons still set up. I'm not sure if I actually, yeah, there we go. So we can see that we have the buttons there, so I can access the top turret. And you can see the view that you would have to shoot at things is actually very, very good here. You can see you'll be able to fire all the way around the ship and actually below most of the ship, even though you're at the front turret. And then if you're on the top turret, pardon. And then if we were to switch to the bottom turret, you can see everything's upside down for you. So if your pilot called out left or something, you'd have to remember that it would be your version of right. But still, given the fact that you could still aim up and all around, I think it's better than using the other turret, unless the modder has fixed that. But anyway, this is pretty cool. I thought it worked pretty well, and it would give a great amount of freedom to the gunners to be able to aim pretty much all around the ship. As you can see there, both of the gunners could hit something that is pretty much right in front of the ship. Pretty awesome. But then I also, when I was playing around with this a bit before we decided on which ship to use, me and Nick actually ended up making a different version, or at least came up with the idea while Nick was around, and then I went off on my own today and finished this. And this is a drone version of it. And inside this version, we have the normal stuff you need for a drone, and then the turrets are set up just the same. Because what we found is that you can control those turrets from remote control. So what I can do is click on this here. I think it's the first Kip drone. We can find a turret, and then we can take control over it, and now you can see I'm actually controlling that turret even though I'm not even inside this ship, which is pretty cool. So theoretically you could have this drone flying about the world while you're sitting down or in a Sage station, and just one person takes control of the remote control thing to fly the ship. They use the cameras on the front and back, and then 2 people take control of the top and bottom turrets. And then if the drone is destroyed, they don't actually have to worry about themselves being destroyed, just the drone is destroyed, and they can basically end up spawning another one, building another one, whatever have you, take over control of a new one, and you'll have another one of these little drones flying about with a full crew complement of 3 people, even though the crew's not actually inside it. Now, the interiors of this ship, I'm going to buzz down here really quickly to give you a better look at the inner workings of it, because it is actually all survival ready. The large guns here, the sniper rifles on the side, wouldn't be able to use missiles or hugely large caliber rounds, because I couldn't really figure out how to get the large connector pipes lead all the way to the back, unfortunately, so I probably end up building another larger one of these gunships in the future, probably with more turrets that could crew a larger crew. And let's delete that, and you can see that inside here we have a whole assortment of piping. So at the back we have our usual connector, which then actually has this forking thing around here, because of course I don't think you can plug in small pipes into the large ones. You used to be able to, but I don't think you can anymore. So I have these pipes leading up and actually plugging in. If I was to go ahead and remove a few of these, you can see that they plug into the side doors on the top. This of course then leads through the reactor into a storage container here. So you can see a medium storage container to store your bullets and all that, which can be fed through a reactor. And then this is just a splitter, a four-way splitter that takes it through a small pipe from this one to this one, and then through the big pipes up to the, and down to the actual turrets, which is pretty cool. And of course that big turret I just removed on the side was plugged in right here on this one. So the whole thing would actually be survival ready. And then over here we do have the cutaway version of the drone version, and you can see that it's really simple inside here. I'll turn on my light that way you can see a bit better. All this is exactly the same leading up to the turrets and all that. And then right here, instead of the cockpits that we have on this version here, where we actually have a blast wall sort of help, even though this cockpit's exposed from the side angle, we have these walls all around here to show our, well, to protect our computer core, our remote control block, and our antenna. Whereas on these usual versions, the antennas are just down here at the bottom. Anyway, that's the ship. It's pretty awesome. I'm going to go ahead and delete that and then take control over the one drone up top. So the control me group there. And I have control over it. Now you can see I have all the buttons set up for this so that I can switch the cameras around easily. And if you are doing a one-person flight, you could theoretically get it going, press Z, and then switch over to a turret and do your running by. And of course you can hear the sound cut out there because my actual body is farther away than it is, well, than right here at the thing, so you can't actually hear the guns. But it's pretty cool, and you can see how one person could even use this to be doing gunning runs on things, and really I should have been using the bottom turret there. And anyway, that's that. It's pretty cool. I'll have blueprints of these up on the Steam Workshop if you would like to use them. Remember, you're going to need 2 mods. I think 2, no, 3 mods. The sniper rifle mod that I have installed, the small ship gun turret, Gatling turret that I have installed, and my industrial thrusters. And remember, those 2 mods were made by Tomas, who I believe works with the devs. And we have a sound glitch going on still, so that hasn't been fixed quite yet, but I'm sure the devs will get around to it. They've been doing a lot of good fixes. Anyway, guys, that's it. This is a little kip, what do I call it? Gunship. Very, very small gunship. But I'm pretty happy with it. Nice and small, and of course, like many things I built, it has a nice drone version. Anyway, guys, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.